Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. And what I've got for you today is a top-level game of Zerg versus Protoss, a best-of-3 series, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on a royal blood. I did all of that off of one breath, I believe. That was a very long intro. Spotting right here in the top right-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Zerg drones, we have Serral. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss pieces from South Korea. We're looking at herO's main nexus. Now, hero, hold up. Hero went for a pylon into a gateway on the low ground. Oh, he's gonna proxy his second pylon. And he's gonna leave the probe around here as well. Okay. So, this would be much too early for a regular, quote-unquote, regular Stargate proxy. So I think this has to be a second gateway. That's the only thing that makes sense, yeah. Because obviously in order to go for a Stargate, you need to have a Cybercore done. And he's only going to be able to start one up right about right now. Really. And we're going to put it right over there as well, of all places. So, personally, whenever I play Zerg versus Protoss on the ladder, I still go for a lot of 12-pool openers as Zerg. The main reason is that it's really good at shutting down early game shenanigans, and the ladder, I mean, I don't know how many of you play ladder in 2023, but the ladder, it's about 80% cheese. Basically, well, the higher you climb, the less cheesy it becomes, but most of it is like 80% early game aggression. A 12-pool would 100% win this game. Serral's looking at this right now as well, he's like, what? Huh? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He's probably gonna make the assumption though, or he probably will make the assumption at this point, that the wall-off will be completed here with either a Twilight Council, a Robo Facility, or a Stargate. I don't believe he's gonna make the assumption that there's a second gateway here already chrono boosting out another adept in the top left-hand corner. What's really weird though about this proxy is that it's quite far away. I guess it's positioned there just on the off chance that Serral would have gone for a third hatchery in that location. But yeah, at least Zerg is not gonna spot it. But now I wonder if he could have also just put it inside of his own natural instead. Anyhow, doesn't really matter all too much. First adept has come across. We do have a little bit of shenanigans over here. Spore crawlers will be cancelled, of course, to save those drones. And, well, for now, this is not really working out all too well. But suddenly, there are gonna be 3 of these units. Not really what you would normally expect. Now Serral must figure out that something's not quite right. At this point in the game, there's supposed to be 2 of them, not 3. He starts up a lot of additional Zerglings. Link speed is about 80% of the way done, and that's the upgrade you really need. I don't understand some of herO's builds sometimes, man. Hero, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's incredibly good at the game. But this just seems very shaky, right? This doesn't seem particularly great. Anyway, so far, he's dealing a bunch of damage, but I've got a feeling that these adepts, they're gonna get shut down now with the metabolic boost done. And that gateway in the top left-hand corner, unless he keeps up the pressure, it'll be found, right? It'll be found and it will likely get shut down. Either that or Serral also assumes that the second gateway is somewhere over here, but he saw one pylon, he hasn't seen the second pylon. It's all a little bit funny. Anyways, we're gonna now transition here. Hero is pivoting straight into the Glaive's upgrade as well. So he's shading back and forth here at the front, but I don't think he wants to commit at all. Yeah, Zerglings right now see the path at which one of those adepts walks in as well, so Serral definitely knows exactly where this is coming from now, but I don't think he's got enough to really shut this down anymore. Really curious position. So, the Glaive's upgrade gives those adepts about a 45% additional attack speed, which is absolutely massive, especially if the opposing player's army is going to be mostly units that those adepts are already good against, like for example Zerglings. Roachborn is coming up on the back of this, however, relatively early, but nothing all too crazy. Serral right now actually, well, is going to try and surround that gateway in the top left-hand corner. It's not going to get shut down. What a strange opener right here from hero. So this was played at IEM Katowice, right? The StarCraft 2 World Championships. So this is not hero just messing around going for a funky little build. He actually believes that this is a great build. It's just that while watching it, so far at least, I've got about 17 question marks. But I guess in his head, he's figured it all out. It just seems a little bit funny. So now the Forge and the Robo Facility are coming up. Okay, I don't think he's gonna commit, no. There's enough army here for the Zerg to shut this down, but one thing though that hero has done very nicely is that at this point he's at 40 workers compared to Serral's 32. So I wonder if this proxy is an eco proxy. Now this is really wonderful though from Serral. Yeah, shutting down that third nexus right as it gets planted down. But this almost seems like a build where he's trying to obtain the economical advantage. And, well, if that was the goal, he successfully pulled it off. So that third nexus, though, is quite important. He's got to continuously... He can actually start thinking about committing here. Is he going to? I think he could. Yeah, I was going to say, that is really not that many Zerglings. Those Roaches and Ravagers do help out, but these traits are not particularly cost-efficient for the Zerg. And those Adepts, they do fall off as the game progresses. What a strange opener right here from hero. Very interesting. So I think this is actually mostly him taking that economical advantage. The only thing he doesn't have right now is a third nexus. If that third nexus was not shut down, I would call this a heavy advantage right here for hero. But since the third nexus never happened and now his army gets cleared out, despite the fact that he still gets more income than the opponent. What? Dark Shrine right now? I almost wonder if there's like some sort of intimidation going on in this particular game as well. I mean, hero seems, at least in my mind, a very confident player. But it almost seems to me that like, oh no, I'm playing against Serral. I better pull off something weird because otherwise there's no way, right? No, hero has won many tournaments over the course of his career. Now, of course, he plays against players like Dark a lot, just because Dark, well, he's also Korean, right? And they play on the same StarCraft 2 server. He doesn't practice against Serral nearly as frequently, but that was a build. That was a build. And right now, 7 minutes into the game, we still don't have a third nexus. To put this in perspective, with a regular Stargate opener, the build order that hero has popularized, this is really good, by the way. You take that third nexus at about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So now we're 7 minutes in, and only just now is when that nexus starts up. We're at 6 gateways at this point as well, though. 2 more added into the mix. Dark Shrine on the back of it, too. We're already up to, yeah, 2 Immortals and a Prism, so I think he's gonna... Ooh. Serral just forced another cancel on that nexus. I don't think this nexus really is needed, though. I think it's a fake nexus. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that he's gonna go for an all-out all-in here momentarily. Well, I say that while he's making probes. Huh? So, there have been some strategies in the past where Protoss players pretend to take a third, right? They pretend to expand, but then they actually don't take the third at all, or they do let it finish, but they go for an all-out assault. There are now 8 gateways available. I am not convinced that hero can just sit back and try to macro his way out of this. Okay, so the 2 Adepts right now are being replaced by an invisible man. Let's see. Are we gonna drop it off? We are gonna drop it off. Not entirely sure where it'll be headed on over to. Okay, we're once again gonna pick up those Adepts. I do love it. He's pulling off some really cute micro tricks. But the broad strokes in this game just seem a little off. Then again, though, supply-wise, he's still okay. Yeah, so I think we're actually just gonna transfer those probes that he's been making here. The excess amount, he'll probably pull about 4 here as well from the main base to the third 2. I think he's just gonna start mining the location that he just acquired here. But that does mean that Serral is gonna be... Well, I don't know, actually. I was gonna say that means that Serral is probably gonna be able to macro up quite nicely himself as well, but is that really the case? Army supply-wise, it is now 64 for Serral versus 40 from hero, but it's a lot of very scary units, right? It's a lot of those heavy hitters here for Protoss, and Protoss, of course, always known for their supply efficiency. Second robo facility coming up, a robo bay on the back of this too, so I think that hero probably is gonna transition right now towards that Disruptor play, right? Stalker Disruptor, something he's very, very fond of. Oof. Okay. So that was an opener and a half. A very strange start. If the goal was to try and kill Serral, he didn't do a particularly great job at that. If the goal was to try and secure an economical advantage, he also, like, he started off doing a good job at that, but then he didn't. Oh, what? We're not even going into Disruptor play either. Okay. So, despite the fact that there haven't been any Zergling upgrades until just now, despite the fact he's seen a lot of Roaches here, I would have imagined that Disruptors were going to be the option here for our Protoss player, but no. He decides to go into Colossus. So double Colossus production right now, and considering the timing on the third Nexus, that is a very quick fourth. Big picture though, again, this fourth is actually not that quick. But yeah, at least relative to the timing of the third base, that is a lot of Immortals too. 5 Immortals into this game. I wonder what Serral was thinking at this point too, right? Serral's probably like, okay, well, you know, if this is what you're gonna do, I don't really need to attack you all too often. I mean, maybe I'll try like a Baneling roll by, or maybe I'll test the waters for a little bit, but... Serral playing this very conservatively though. Like, if he would have known that this was the plan from hero, he could have powered straight to 100 workers. Right? Like, he could have been at 100 drones. Okay, maybe that's a little excessive, but he could have been at like full 5 base economy a couple of minutes ago. And at that point, I think that hero is just dead in the water. Anyhow, we're gonna go... Ooh, nice Biles. We're gonna go into 4 Colossus here. And by the way... Oh, sorry, I missed that. Nice. Good observing, Lowko. Ah, that's the bad boys right over here. So while we're biling back and forth and while we're trying to test the waters, apparently there's a round of Banelings here on the left side. Also being obnoxious. Right, yeah. So this is while he's pressuring over here. There we go. Okay. And then somehow these Biles still connect. I can't really quite figure out what hero's plan was in this particular game here. It was cute, and I think it would work against a lot of Zerg players out there, but I feel like there are more efficient ways to play a game of StarCraft 2. Either way, though, I mean, he's still in a pretty dang good spot. Upgrades-wise, if it wasn't for those 14 probes he just lost, actually, I would have maybe even called this an advantage for him, but upgrades-wise, he is already at +2. +1 armor is going to finish up momentarily as well. Serral has, however, teched up towards Hive, and he's now going into Vipers. So Vipers are an amazing option. But look at this Protoss army. That's 4 Colossus as well. The Vipers don't have energy yet. Ay, ay, ay. What a build here from hero. Yeah, I've said it many times, right? StarCraft players, at least most of them, not particularly great at thinking on the fly. Most of us learn the game by losing and then looking at the replay. And I can imagine Serral, while playing this, is also second-guessing himself at every move, but here we go. He decides to commit. There's an abduction on one of the Colossus. Good pickup control right there, though, by hero as he micros back those Colossi. The Zerg army, though, looking absolutely massive, but is there enough right now for Serral to break through this? The Colossus, I mean, they're good, but they don't really do a lot of damage against Roaches and Ravagers, right? One of them ends up going down there. He's desperately trying to keep it alive. Prism does not get biled down, but yeah, there's not enough resources available, I don't think, for hero to continuously reinforce this. I say this, Serral right now, though, just making Roaches. 1 accidental Swarm Host as well. Not as useful, but he still has 2 Vipers in his back pocket as well, and that is going to be a really nice unit to have here. All he needs is a couple more units, I think. You know what? If those 14 probes did not blow up at the third Nexus, this game would have looked very different. Even though I've been rather critical of hero so far in this game, I actually think it might be a brilliant strategy that my small brain is just incapable of processing here. Of course, this is a best-of-3, so I hope he decides to go for a similar strategy again very soon. But yeah, my brain is just too smooth, man. Hero has all kinds of wrinkles in his brain, but mine is like a bowling ball. Like a marble. Incredibly smooth. Nothing really going... Okay, so hold up. What exactly is the plan right now? 11 drones have gone down. Are we gonna just go straight into Mass Stalker Roach now? What a match. Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, we're abducting Stalkers one at a time. I honestly don't hate it. Surround for the Swarm Host. Aw. Didn't get its Locust Wave off. I think Serral just planted it there, so, you know, it could get killed. Little observer here, though, looking at everything, right? Pretending to be a Zerg unit. Yeah, just right-clicking on one of those Ravagers here, and it will magically follow them around. Not bad at all. Okay. So hero actually now at 68 workers versus Serral's 59. Honestly, imagine if that Baneling roll-by did not happen. This game would have probably been over. Okay. Hero right now securing another Nexus here on the high ground. That's going to be the 5th. Serral only on 4 bases himself here. Okay, now we're getting to the point where those Baneling run-bys aren't just nice little bits of damage. Now it's becoming a little bit desperate. I think we're getting to the point where these Banelings have to get a certain amount of damage done. Because otherwise, well, the game's not looking all too hot. I do see some Dark Templar on the production tab as well, but I think they're mostly just to morph them into Archons. Okay. Baneling roll-by on the left side, on the right side. Shut down quite nicely here so far. A few probes will end up going down, but nothing all too crazy. At the same time, though, overextension here from hero as he's now forced to recall and lose a couple of those Stalkers as well. This Stalker just trying to draw that Zerg army way back into the main base, so the imminent counterattack is gonna be a little bit later. Okay. Vipers very far forward. Careful now. Ooh, I think if he would have, well, if he would have blinked, he definitely would have gotten them, but maybe that's a little bit too much. Serral, though, still has an absolutely massive force, right? 120-something army supply versus only 50. What a crazy game. I think in the end, it's still Serral who has too much. He's starting to pick off a lot of workers here as well. That Nexus goes down. One hero, Dark Templar, slicing at Banelings. Maybe not necessarily the best thing, because obviously they still deal damage when he pops them. Serral, though, ready to apparently roll through this. Okay, probes here on the run as well. Reinforcing Zerglings are ready for the wraparound, though, as yeah, they are definitely going to be rallied over here. A big Baneling detonation right there, too. And it is Serral who wins game number 1 in a very strange match. Next up, we find ourselves on Gresvan. And while there is a probe out on the map once again, this one, very normal. Nothing all too crazy. He sent that one out with building the pylon, and, well, it's now being a little bit obnoxious right here on the Zerg's side of the map, already forcing the 3rd hatchery to be taken rather than the Zerg's natural expansion. This is one of those things that's... it's up to debate, right? It's up for debate right now. A lot of Protoss players like to make this move where they force the Zerg into taking their 3rd base first, and maybe it's ever so slightly better, but the top-level Zergs, they've been playing against this so many times that this is probably their comfort zone right now. Them taking their 3rd base rather than their natural expansion first. And when you think about it, one of the advantages of taking the 3rd base over the natural, especially when you put it in the middle of the map, is that creep tumors will start spreading from here rather than from right here. Which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really does add up. It saves you like 2 or so creep tumors, which, yeah, at this level of play can definitely make up quite the difference. So I'm actually not entirely convinced that forcing the Zerg to take their 3rd base first is really that great of an idea at this level. It works great against me, though. If you ever face me on the ladder, I completely lose everything about what I need to do in a regular game of StarCraft 2 if I have to take my 3rd base rather than my natural expansion first. Anyhow, this time around, it's a conventional build right here from hero. Fair enough. Stargate opener. That's something we've seen him do time and time again. I'm still a little confused by that previous match, though. Maybe the intention of the Adept opener, so that's what I was thinking of in between the games. You know, like, he went for a double gateway, right? Double gateway opener and then into Glaive the Depths and all that. Maybe what hero anticipated was a Roach Ravager counterattack. Because normally what Zerg players do against that sort of build is overmake army and then counterattack towards the other side of the map. Right? So there were already Immortals waiting on, yeah, the off chance that that was the case. So maybe that's what hero was almost hoping for. But I think what went wrong right there with hero's build is that he had his 3rd Nexus, well, sniped right at the very start of it building, right? So those Zerglings came across the map at the perfect time, which honestly is a massive indicator that despite the fact that Serral was playing against a weird build, he seemed to know exactly the timings right there of the opponent, and with him shutting that down, I think Serral looked at that, he's like, you know what, I've already done enough damage. I will check again when, you know, I do pull off the Adepts around. I'll check again to see if the 3rd Nexus is building. If it's not, I'm just gonna sit here at home and slowly macro my way into a better economy and a better army. Maybe hero was hoping, right? Maybe he was dreaming of a counterattack right there instead. Anyhow, I wasn't paying attention right here to the game, so Oracle apparently managed to get 2 kills. Well, 3 kills in total. Must have been a Zergling. Nothing all too surprising. Serral right now scouts out over here in the main base as well exactly what's going on, as we're gonna go for multiple Oracles. Alright. So, 3 Oracles here in total already. Hero, of course, is a big fan of going triple Oracle, but we've also seen him go up to like 6. Sometimes he mixes in a 4th, a 5th, a 6th. He just keeps going with the Oracle production. And if Zerg doesn't have solid anti-air, if Zerg rather sits around on a unit composition like what we saw in the previous game, I actually am a big fan of the mass Oracle focus, because it can usually deal so much damage. Only 2 workers so far, though. I don't think that quite justifies this build just yet. And look at the creep spread, right? It's moving pretty rapidly. Yeah, so that's the result of, yeah, having those creep tumors a little bit closer to the middle of the map. Okay, at least he kills one of them. Queen's over here waiting, though. Oh, perfect right there from Serral. Really nicely done. There are still games out there. And we saw quite a few of them at IAM Katowice. I mean, I've been casting, you know, when on my YouTube channel, I tried to cast the very best games of StarCraft 2 that are being played, right? So we kind of get used to Protoss players dealing only 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 workers worth of damage. But I casted a couple of games at Katowice where hero quite literally killed 20 plus workers just off of his Oracle Adept build alone, just off of his standard opener. So Serral, yeah, deflecting this with very minimal losses so far is really good for him. Right now, apparently, we did have a little bit of a Zergling counterattack, killing, I believe, one Stalker here. Nothing all too crazy, though. Those Oracles are going to be able to help out in that department as well. The real scary follow-up here for hero is going to be the Blink together with the +1 ground weapons, right? That is something he loves playing. He's very good at it as well, but you do kind of hope to do a little bit more damage than he's done so far. Setting up a nice little wall off over here. That is mostly to prevent any Banelings from being obnoxious. So this is a full wall here, so if Banelings want to move in, they're going to have to go around that way. It also, however, makes it more difficult for hero to take this 4th nexus here at the bottom of the map if he wants to. So he'll probably opt to go for one right over here at the 3 o'clock position, or a little bit further forward right over here. Oracles still flying around. Good zoning here. Yeah, Serral not allowing any movement right here on those Oracles. Really nicely done. It looks easy when you see the Zerg players messing around with their queens like that, but splitting them up, having enough energy, putting them in the right location at the right time, while also spreading creep tumors and doing everything else, it's not so easily done. Once again, by the way, double Colossus production. I think Colossi were pretty good in the previous game, but I wonder what that match would have looked like if there were Disruptors instead. Or maybe like 2 or 3 Colossus and then, you know, additionally a couple Disruptors too. I think that would have probably been better. Because this is a very roach-heavy army. Serral right now, even going for the missile upgrade too, this is not something hero can see, but if he knew, I don't think he would be making Colossi. So Colossi deal bonus damage against light units. They're really strong against units like, for example, Zerglings and Hydralisks. But roaches, right, armored units, don't care. Like, well, they care a little bit, but roaches really don't take a lot of damage from Colossi at all. It is supplemental damage from, well, the biggest Protoss unit at best, and I think you gotta be very careful here if you're hero. If he decides to go for a big attack, he's already got 2 Colossi. He's going into the 4th, well, the 3rd and the 4th right now. It's very easy to accidentally mess that up. Okay, at least one stasis goes off in the natural, but at the cost of the Oracle. Nope, not gonna happen here either, with that Spore Crawler turning its ugly head. Okay. Continued scouting right here from the finisher. He already knows what he's playing against. This is a theme you'll see in all the Serral games. The man is relentless when it comes to scouting, and, well, Vipers already coming up. Honestly, if it's just a Roach Ravager Viper, he's adding in some Banelings as well, but honestly, the Banelings are not really needed. If it's just Roach Ravager Viper, I actually don't think Serral can really lose this fight. Obviously, Serral doesn't know, though, that there's no Disruptors added into the mix. Look at the supply count. Serral pretty much maxed out. The Vipers are available right now. They're getting some energy here on one of those extractors. He wants to wait until he's got some energy for abductions, and apparently right now is the time. There's one yoink on one of the Colossus. That Colossus is very far forward. Good control right here, though, coming out of hero as well. Trying to blink back the weakened units, picking up a lot of the big hitters as well, but this is one of those Serral games, man. This is one of those Serral games where, as a Protoss player, you're like, but this works against everybody. How don't you die? Yeah. Okay. Well, that was 9 minutes in the making. And Serral looked at it once, barely paid it any attention, then immediately, we're gonna go back into Colossus again. Well, now suddenly, the Zerglings are, I guess, gonna come out in bigger numbers with Adrenal Glands coming up. Adrenal is amazing. We do have +1 melee finished. It's now going into Carapace upgrade, though, together with the +1 missile upgrade, so... Curious to see if that is gonna be... Like, normally when we see Carapace upgrades right now, it's for Ultralisks. But I wonder if that's the case, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that together with the +2 missile upgrade. Either way, Zerglings obviously still benefit from it, and, well, so do those Roaches and Ravagers. And the Banelings. And every other ground unit for the Zerg. But usually the attack upgrades are a little bit more important. One Pylon here was added into the mix as well to make sure that there were not going to be any run-bys. As hero is now trying to secure a Nexus here a little bit further forward. Tries to get one of the Vipers. He does get one of the Vipers. Another one over here, though, on the left side of the map as well. Trying its best to get an abduction in, but so far, okay, finally, it was not successful. Good pickup micro there once again by hero, but that Nexus is gone. Colossus is gone, and I think there might just be a little bit too much Zerg. I mean, 85 workers here allows Serral to just make so much stuff. And at this point, the Swarm has been unleashed. It's now, well, infesting the third base right here of our Protoss player as well. 23 probes go down in the blink of an eye. That Nexus is not going to be too far behind either, as Serral plays one of those Serral games, man, where he looks nearly unstoppable. Honestly, in a Zerg versus Protoss matchup, Serral looks insanely good. Not entirely sure what he exactly does differently compared to the other top-level Zergs, but he looks insanely strong. Especially in Zerg versus Protoss and also in Zerg versus Terran. GG, well played is called from hero. That is not something we usually see going out of hero, so a little bit of respect right there. Out of our Korean Protoss as well, as Serral obtains the victory in this match of StarCraft 2.